What up? It's your boy Dick Incredible, man. And first off, I gotta apologize to you guys, man. I felt quite horrible the last couple of days, but I feel a lot better today, actually. So let's talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Episode 3, titled Ghost of Illyria. Hands down, best episode thus far, in my opinion. Let's talk about it.
I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings, I'ma be fine.
I'm gonna be 100%. This episode was glorious, man. I enjoyed this episode from start to finish, and this episode just felt grounded, man. I really, really loved it, and in my opinion, it was the best episode thus far. Granted, it's only been 3 episodes, but this was the best episode out of the 3, if you ask me my opinion, man. The episode, it hit you with that nostalgia. I know the series as a whole is hitting you with that nostalgia with the characters and everything, but this episode really felt more grounded and well-rounded, and then it hit you with that nostalgia this episode, man. I just loved it. To be fair, I knew, the quality is going to be good. We all love the quality, but with some of the other Star Trek shows and, the newer ones anyway, it feels, you'll have that moment to where it's good, and then they just do stuff that's way off yonder that you can't see. You can't even see my hand. It's off the camera screen. So, like that's what they have with some of the episodes and some of the seasons and some of the other Star Trek series. But this episode of Star Trek New Worlds, it felt like it gave you everything that you could want from this series, man. And I enjoyed it thoroughly and wholeheartedly, man. First of all, we're on Illyria trying to get all this another Illyria. Anyway, we're on a planet full of Illyrians that just happen to disappear, and there's this ion storm that's coming at the same time. While watching this episode, we see that the ensign just opens the door, and like these little light flickle things just kind of soup them up. They kind of got absorbed into his skin, and in that moment, I knew, I was like, you know what? That's going to be what the premise of this episode is about. Something with these little flicker light things that's bopping all over the place. In true fashion, that's what it was. It was these like little light remnants or whatever that got into people's body, and like, what did it do? It kind of took out all the vitamin D, so they had to get the extra vitamin D from other light sources, but they didn't care where they got it from, and they didn't care if they got burnt or hurt in the process of trying to get to this light. And then we have Pike and Spock on the planet dealing with the ion storm and these mysterious figures that's supposedly trying to attack them, and in the long run ended up saving them from the ion storm. And we learned that those people were the Illyrians on this planet, and they just they tried to undo their DNA so they could join the Federation. But that's not even the cake of this episode, man. Like, the heart and the meat and the potatoes of this episode, where it really came from, was the stuff with number 1, man. We see that number 1 and Leon, they have a different relationship, man. We know that, number 1 is the one that, was that hero figure to Leon, and kind of is the one that made her want to join Starfleet. We get that. They have a different relationship because they knew each other prior. Now, this episode, we see that friendship is kind of on rocky ground, because we learned this episode that a mystery that was pegging everybody ever since the first season of the original Star Trek. There's a lot to take in. Number 1 is Illyrian. I didn't know this, and that was a shocker to me, man, that number 1 was Illyrian, because we see throughout this episode that something is going on with her, and the light source that is affecting everybody else, it didn't quite affect her the way that it affected everybody else. So I was like, well, maybe she's immune to it or something like that. And we find out that she's Illyrian, and her body's kind of bioengineered for this type of stuff to like get rid of anything that's is going to harm her body. But we learned that she's Illyrian and she's trying to help everybody else, but it's not going to work quite like that. We also figure out that Dr. Mbanga is Mbanga, however you want to pronounce it. Anyway, he's hiding something. Now, I figured he was hiding something when old dude came to check out the sick bay transporter room, and he just flipped the light off. Like, we could tell he's hiding something, but we didn't know if it was relevant to what was going on with this episode or not. And later in the episode, like, it became very heavy, man. Like, all the stuff that we're dealing with number 1, we learned that Dr. Mbanga is, he has his daughter's DNA synced in there because she has a type of leukemia that he wants to cure eventually, because they're going on all these strange new worlds. So there has to be a cure out there for his daughter. Like, this got very emotional. this is what I love from Star Trek. You get the emotion, you got the comedy aspect. Well, not so much as comedy, but the sarcasm and the comedy aspect going on that's not really comedy between Spock and Pike down on the planet, which we didn't really see a lot of, but we got enough pertinent information about them while they were on the planet, so they wouldn't just kind of just write them off completely in this episode. But you can definitely tell that this episode was heavily geared towards number one, aka Una. But I gotta say, man, the stuff with Banga was great too. Then we see him reading to his daughter at the end of the episode. Like, it was just a great episode overall. I have no qualms, I have no queries, but I do have some stuff I'm a little questioned about, but I'm gonna talk to somebody about that at a later date. We have Chapel with her moment to shine when number one was talking about using her DNA or her blood or whatever, to synthesize something to help everybody. And Chapel was like, hey man, I ain't gonna bring up no kind of accords or nothing like that. If it'll help, I'm all for it. It was just fun. It was a nice, thrilling episode. And this is what we love about Star Trek. Now, I can't speak for everybody, but this is what I love about Star Trek, man. Like, when it brings you all that heartfelt moments, the exploration, the little bit of hidden secrets, and I feel like the overall theme of the episode, with the title being Ghost of Illyria, sure, it's more geared towards number one, but we also got the stuff that's going on with Banga and the stuff that's going on with Leon and number one, the stuff that's going on with Leon and Pike. Like, it's a lot of stuff to deal with because we all inevitably hide a little pieces of ourselves from everyone anyway, because we feel that they may not be willing to accept all of that or all of us. So we hide pieces of ourselves from people. And I feel like this episode, it was so grounded and so well written that it was, I don't know, man, it was just great. I have no other words for it. I was amazed throughout this entire episode. I know normally I try to get to the nitty gritty and talk about it, but there's so much going on that I just enjoyed this episode, and that's what I'm bringing to you guys. I mean, normally I try to analyze it just a little bit more with my reviews and everything, but man, I just have to mention how awesome it was. At the end of the day, we see number one coming in doing her thing, but we get to see her in a different light besides just being number one, because we find out that she's Illyrian, which has been a huge question ever since the very first Star Trek series where we saw number one, man. Like, that's a lot to take in. Just think about that. They find, from then, it's been a long drawn out thing that we finally got the answers to. Matter of fact, I know that there's something. Let me see how long that's been up. It's been 56 years, man. 56 years since we was all legitimately wondering what was the mystery, the secret with number one. That's a long time. I don't know, man. If I don't stop talking about this episode, I'm gonna be all day, but I'm trying to make sure I didn't skip anything, man. We got to see Uhura, we got to see Spock, everybody got to do their own thing. Ortega's had her moment in the episode as well. Like I said, it was a nice episode, man, and we see how number one feels, that she kind of had that weight lifted off of her chest. Even Mbanga felt a little better having that weight lifted off to their chest or shoulders, take your pick. And we see number one talking to Pike, and Pike, telling her, no, I reject your offer to resign. No. And whenever we have to deal with Starfleet, or if they ever find out, we'll deal with it then. I don't care. But we see number one feeling some type of way because now she feels like it's a big burden off of her shoulders. But how would it have went if she wasn't able to save everybody? Because she just got lucky enough to be able to save everybody because of her being in close proximity to Leon and the radiation in her body, filtering out the radiation, but her coming in contact with Leon, being able to create that chimera gene to be able to help everybody before it kind of disappeared. Because we know there's a big difference with Leon as well. But she feels like, what if I wasn't able to save everybody? Would Captain Pike feel this type of way towards me? Would the Enterprise and everybody else be more accepting? She's starting to let her mind race and wonder a little bit, because she's thinking about what ifs. And it's not a bad place to go, because now that it's exposed that she's Illyrian, there's a lot to look at now, because people just may view her differently. Now, everyone on the Enterprise is not going to view her differently, I guarantee you, because she saved everybody's life. But Starfleet might, just like Dr. Mbanga said this episode, man, prejudice, has been a major thing, even before they went to space. And, now they just found new prejudices since they went to space, man. So it's a whole big ordeal. But like I said, the episode itself was well written, well grounded. And as of right now, I have no qualms, but I am going to talk to somebody about this episode, maybe some of the nitpicky, maybe just some of the minute details. But as of right now, on the surface, man, you get no qualms from me, man. I enjoyed the episode, and I cannot wait to episode 4, man. This is your boy, Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button too. You can't smash any more. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.
All out, and I am here to stay right now, so don't call it